Thank you very much. Good afternoon, everybody. I know that I'm speaking to more people than I see here. It reminded me of Pink Floyd, The Wall. Is there anybody out there? I hope I'm not speaking through the wall, but that what I say goes through the wall. So, okay. I've been asked to present to you what EFTA is doing on an animal called decision shaping. And I will speak about decision shaping in general and of EEA EFTA Comments in particular. What is decision shaping seen from the EEA EFTA side? Broadly speaking, decision shaping seen from the EEA EFTA side can be seen as the process of contributing to the development of EU legislation and policy strategy up until they are formally adopted. Furthermore, contributing to the management of EU programs and to the work of EU agencies. I hope I didn't forget anything now. In 2009, there was a EFTA bulletin, a publication made on decision shaping in the EEA. This publication is available on our homepage under publications. And there are many publications, but you can even search specifically on bulletins. So please don't look for that now, but afterwards you should be free to, if I make you really interested in this. But I would like to briefly quote something from that publication in 2009 to explain a little bit more the term decision shaping or its place, so to say. Quote, "The term decision shaping does not appear anywhere in the EEA agreement, nor is it found in any standard dictionary or encyclopedia. An internet search, then in 2009, yielded almost exclusively articles related to the EEA. In short, it seems that decision shaping is a very specific EEA term." Quote ended. I repeated a search yesterday on Google on decision shaping, and yes, hit number 1 was EFTA homepage, and all the other hits were on decision making. So it's the same situation. It's very specific EEA and maybe very specific EFTA EEA. The starting point then for my presentation is that EFTA takes on board EU legislation through the agreement. You have heard a lot about that today. But the agreement does not grant us any voting or decision-making rights on the EU side. However, an important feature of the EEA agreement is that it makes it possible for us to participate in EEA-relevant Commission working groups and expert groups, and thereby the possibility to express our views alongside the EU member states. I think that's quite unique. There are not many outsiders who have access to these groups. Many experts from our capitals, ministries and authorities participate in the work of these Commission expert groups and committees where the Commission consults member states. So this is a very important part of our decision shaping activity. The EEA agreement says nothing about participation in the work of the Council and the EP. So once the Commission has adopted an EEA-relevant legislative proposal, there is no institutional setup for our participation in the discussions on the EU side on that proposal. I will come back to how we still try to contribute to that discussion through EEA EFTA Comments. A specific challenge, a very challenging challenge we have met under the EEA agreement is the growing number of EU agencies and how to integrate the EEA EFTA states in the work of these agencies. The EEA EFTA states currently participate fully in the work of 23 EU agencies, 17 regulatory and 6 executive agencies. And also we participate in the governance of these agencies, but again, without the right to vote. So in other words, we contribute to the shaping of decisions in the growing number of EU agencies, but as the Commission also tasks agencies with the preparation of various reports, which are then fed into the Commission work, we, through the agency, also contribute to the shaping of upcoming Commission decisions and proposals. The Commission may include one or several EEA EFTA countries in their studies. That's another way where we can contribute to the shaping decisions in the Commission. And the EFTA states participate in many EU programs, yet another way of interacting with the EU side. As we have no access to meetings in the Council, we have inter alia to rely then on contacts with individual EU member states if we want to influence. And Council is challenging. We know that it is not a very open institution. Yes or no, we have no MEPs. But as EP committees meeting are open and reports, etc., are made publicly available, it is a lot easier to follow up progress in the EP. But again, individual contacts are important if we want to contribute to what comes out of the Parliament in their discussions on Commission proposals. Speaking about the European Parliament, you will after me hear more from my colleague Christophe regarding decision shaping through the EFTA advisory bodies. They include parliamentarians, the social partners, and the local and regional level. So, to conclude the first part of my presentation on decision shaping, the EEA EFTA states' contribution to shaping decisions on the EU side is a collective effort involving ministers, experts in ministers and authorities, our missions to the EU, the Secretariat, not at least EEA EFTA working groups, and for the rest, I leave it to Christophe for what he is doing. Decision shaping by the EEA EFTA states in an EEA context is therefore targeted not only towards the Commission and EU programs as foreseen in the EEA agreement, but also the Council, towards the Council, EU member states, and the European Parliament, as what is finally adopted in the EU never is exactly the same as the Commission proposed. Then to the next part of my presentation. EEA EFTA Comments. They are an important tool for the EEA EFTA states, and not only for decision shaping. I will come back to that. What is an EEA EFTA comment? This is, by the way, another concept which is not found in the EEA agreement. An EEA EFTA comment is one of the ways in which the EEA EFTA states participate in shaping EU policies, programs and legislation by agreeing on common position papers. But we don't call them position papers, we call them EEA EFTA comments. But another word more understandable from the outside world would be position papers. But there is one more very important aspect with the EFTA comments. They are actually, to my knowledge, the only way the governments of the EFTA states jointly contribute in writing to shaping decisions on the EU side. EEA EFTA comments may be issued at all levels of levels of procedures on the EU side. They may be issued as a part of a public consultation organized by the Commission when the Commission is preparing a legislative proposal, a policy or a strategy, or after the adoption by the Commission of a proposal throughout the co-decision procedures on the EU. And I've been involved in comments which has gone as far as targeting the famous trilogues in the EU, which is quite challenging also because that's a really close process. But they are therefore submitted to the parts of the Commission, the relevant parts of the Commission, the relevant MEPs in the Parliament, as well as to the presidency of the European Council, the half-year presidency, and also the incoming one often, for circulation to the relevant Council working party. The EEA working groups, assisted by the assisted by the EFTA Secretariat, drafts the EEA comments. The Secretariat processes the drafts throughout the drafting and decision-making process. They are, at the very end, adopted by the Standing Committee. They go Standing Committee before that, the subcommittee, relevant subcommittee, and then all the groundwork is done in the working groups. So one thing is to issue a paper, another thing is to follow it up. The way that happens with practically all comments is that the Commission is invited to have a discussion in a working group meeting. Why always the Commission, you would say, if it's the Council and the Parliament that is discussing a Commission proposal? My answer is always the Commission is everywhere always. So never forget the Commission, whatever you do. Then we very often try to get someone in from, for example, the sitting presidency, and we may discuss it with individuals in the European Parliament. But we do not always manage all of this, but we try. And for those of you who are working in a ministry, an authority, in the missions on the EFTA side, use the EFTA comments. They are free to be used, and you can contact the relevant officer in the EFTA Secretariat if you have questions or something you need to better understand, but use them. So to conclude this part of my presentation on the EFTA comments, then, they are not only an important tool for decision shaping, they also contribute to the visibility and awareness of the EEA agreement on the EU side. It's a fact of life that not everyone on the EU side knows the EEA agreement. And people who knows it suddenly change their job and there comes someone new in and they don't know it. And furthermore, they are a very useful tool in our contacts and discussions with the EU side for the EFTA working groups and expert groups, our missions, I hope, and capitals, and also for us to work in the EFTA Secretariat. And if we cannot shape our policies on our own, but once we have an EFTA comment, it helps us a lot to contact people in the EU institution and use this as a point of departure for discussions. Some of you maybe some of you would have liked to ask what I will ask now. Are we heard on the EU side? This is extremely difficult to measure. A couple of years ago we discussed it and I said it's impossible to measure. But one of our present trainees, he's sitting in the room now, Ole Johan Carlsen. He was once a very courageous student. I don't think he knew what he did, but what he started on. I know what it ended with, and that's a very useful document. He wrote his master thesis on EEA EFTA Comments. Of course, he had to get a job in the EFTA Secretariat then. So he found that in comments where we, on the EEA EFTA side, proposed something different from what the Commission proposed in its proposal. So, of course, he looked at specific provisions we commented on. That was his methodology. You read 250 comments, picked out specific provisions. We wanted something else than the Commission. And actually, he found that the end result adopted in the EU was like we proposed, or partly as we proposed, regarding close to 60% of the example he identified. So, not so bad. Well, we have to be modest. We are not alone in Brussels. So, so we can, of course, not take all the credits ourselves. I think I have one more, wherever it is. Yeah. To conclude my presentation, I'm well on time. Yeah. About 250 EEA EFTA comments have been made, issued over 27 years with the EEA agreement. And all EEA EFTA comments can be found on the EFTA homepage. You go to Relations with the EU and there they are. So if you want to see this in real life, that's where you go. I can just mention that lately, maybe it's visible there, we have issued comments on the Commission proposal for a Digital Markets Act, the Digital Services Act, CO2 emissions from person cars and vans, and anti-money laundering and countering the financing of terrorism, just to show the variety. Our impression is that EFTA is, believe it or not, we are small, but we are still regarded as a very good, I call it, trademark in Brussels. Sometimes I risk to say better than an individual EEA EFTA state. People tend to know about EFTA. I once told a Japanese I met, he asked how many members do you have in EFTA? Oh, we have only 4. That few. So maybe he had learned about that when we were bigger at school, I don't know. But sorry for that. And our impression is also that our EEA EFTA comments often are welcomed into the debate on the EU side. They may not always disagree with us, but it's very good and welcomed when people contribute. And sometimes I hear that you have also always sometimes a little bit different approach to things, which is useful. So they may look very formal when you see them, but well, when governments speak, it becomes formal. We are, on the EFTA side, not regarded as lobbyists, but as what we are, an intergovernmental organization representing states that actually takes over EU legislation throughout the EEA agreement. And I heard recently that if someone in the parliament wants to meet someone from EFTA, they don't have to register it in the transparency register. So it's much easier to meet us than many others. So decision shaping under the EEA agreement through EFTA of the different reasons I have mentioned, through the different ways I have explained, I think in sum it's more than worth the efforts it takes, because it takes a lot of effort sometimes. But we could always be better. We could probably do more when it comes to, or be better when it comes to the timing of comments. It takes time to make them, to approve them, and while the procedures on the EU side goes sometimes quick, sometimes slowly, but we could improve there, and we could improve on following up the EFTA Comments in contact with people on the other side, but we do not always have the resources to do what we know we should do. So by that, this is what I had to say. I hope it made sense, and if there are any comments or questions, please.
If there are any comments, yes, apart from the EEA EFTA Comments, if there are any comments or questions, any comments from the audience? You, of course, you replied to the most tricky question. If you have any English, so we don't need to go there.
Hi, my name is Rylan, and I'm an intern at the West Norway office. It was interesting what you said about the master thesis and about how successful EFTA is in actually influencing politics. My question is whether you guys are content with the current status quo, or if you're actually actively working towards improving your chances of influencing politics, either through formal channels or informal. Thank you.
I think no one can ever be happy with what is being done on influencing the EU side. There are no limits to what can be done. I heard about this Digital Services Act, Digital Market Act, that I read that these big GAFAs, they had been spending 100 million euros on lobbying the EU. So with our resources, we are not satisfied with what we do now. We have always ambitions of making more comments, but we could always do more. And as I said at the end, we could do more on following up. So to be sure that people have read it, to discuss it, and we do what we can. But I don't think we can say we are 100% satisfied that we do enough.
Okay. So, Tore, thank you very much.
You're welcome.
Keep on the good work. Yes.